the wildest Hasbro earning call I have ever read, like in Magic's history. I think this means so much for Universes Beyond. It feels like every time we read one of these, it gets crazier and crazier and crazier. Final Fantasy prices through the roof, more women playing Magic, which is kind of nice actually. And in general, just Magic continuing to make money year over year. The Universe Beyond stuff is kind of wild. We're going to be going over the short form of the kind of conference call notes. Down below is going to be the actual link to the whole call. This is actually a shortened version by Mike Provencher, so shout out to him. And then also in the second half of the video, because Edge of Eternity's pre-release has not even happened yet, we are already at Spider-Man spoilers. Folks, this is releasing on July 24th. The 25th is when we actually have pre-release. Spider-Man previews before Edge of Eternities is even out. I have Edge of Eternities cards because I'm an MTG ambassador. But now with the earnings from Final Fantasy, with the thousands of dollars of product that were given for free to all these people, just expect MTG X Spider-Man, those MTG ambassadors, to receive thousands of dollars worth of product. I hope I'm one of them, but hey, that's not where we're going to be at. They like to kind of spread it out. Regardless, I'm not thankless. I'm happy to be an MTG ambassador, especially in a space set. But the Universe Beyond sets earning crazy money. Let's get through it. Timestamps down below. Disclaimer from Mike to start. The Q2 2025 presentation starts with 21% kind of revenue growth overall from Magic and D&D physical product, 16% year over year from Q2 last year, which is kind of great. Kind of minus down from Arena and D&D. I guess not many people are buying bundles, and the -3 from digital licensing. Right. While Final Fantasy is the highest grossing set of all time, the Q2 margin was impacted by higher royalties from Final Fantasy's release timing of operating expenses. The expected royalties to remain elevated as both Spider-Man and Avatar are coming out later this year. The Widgets Play network has grown from around 7,500 stores in the last quarter earnings call to around 9,000 stores now. And there's also been an increase in in-store events attendance around 20% versus this time in 2024, which is nice. More people coming back in stores, playing more Commander as ways to track things is probably going to be a big reason for this. So these are the notes I took while listening to the earnings call, and I've tried to use as much of the same language as possible. WotC had a standout quarter. Magic the Gathering continues to deliver growth, growing 23% year over year in the second quarter and 32% year to date. Chris Cox. This is a clear indication of the power of Magic's community and attributes to the release cadence and resonance of Universes Beyond strategy. Okay, so Chris Cox says, we are earning more money, and this is because we are releasing more sets year by year. We're putting out previews before the next set even comes out in pre-release. And because of Universes Beyond, folks, this is just going to continue to happen. This is going to be more and more and more. Hasbro CEO thinks so. He calls the growth durable, diversified, and accelerating. Even though we had a recent post from Mark Rosewater talking about how they'll maybe work with more of a split. I don't know. If you're the only company making Hasbro money, I don't think we're slowing down, baby. I think come 2027, what if we get a full 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 3-to-1, whatever type of split of Universes Beyond first, one Magic set normally? It takes the thinking out. You don't gotta make brand new lore and characters. It's easier on R&D, if anything. Just gotta make it flavorful. Secret Lair has just delivered the strongest sales quarter in its history. We're screwed. The model's done. We are not going back to demand. We are not going back to demand. We're done. We're cooked. The title and the thumbnail should have said it. We're cooked. This is done. Everything we're doing that the player base hates makes Wizards of the Coast more money. Why would they stop? Not even just Wizards of the Coast. It makes Big Daddy Hasbro more money. Why would they stop? Why would they stop? This is insane. Why would they stop? Goes on to say that Tarkir Dragonstorm is on pace to be the top-selling Magic Premier set of all time, and the Final Fantasy is already the highest grossing Magic set ever. Now, that's actually pretty nice. I will highlight that that's a great thing. Tarkir Dragonstorm was a great return to a plane that a lot of people were a fan of, you know, a bunch of different color bases into standard. It wasn't the big thing that it was, I would argue, originally when it came out, you know, fetch lands in standard and all that type of stuff. But the top-selling Magic Premier set of all time. Interesting. So I like that. Tarkir Dragonstorm making some money. That's worth highlighting. That's worth highlighting. But Final Fantasy is already the highest grossing Magic set of all time. Maybe not highest netting. You got to think about licensing and everything. Grossing, though. He says that it's not just new sets, and their backlist Magic sets have already set an all-time annual sales record, and we're only 6 months into the year, folks. The cadence. Of course, it's making more money. The FOMO is crazy. The promos, the multiple foils, the different products. Of course, y'all are scalping out those collector booster boxes. Keep doing it. We're making Big Daddy Hasbro more money. We are paying for Chris Cox's lunch, baby. Cox says the community engagement is at an all-time high, sending over 19,000 badges sold for MagicCon Vegas. Okay, might be a bit of a bias. You know, Vegas is the biggest event of all year. It's nice that it's growing, though. I will say, okay, it's nice that it's growing. Final Fantasy set a record for new player growth, delivering more new players in the first 2 weeks than any previous set over the entire season. So that is the amount of new players registering in systems to come for pre-release, come to draft, come to events, to buy product, whatever it is, play Commander, whatever it is. The highest number of people coming in. Not a surprise with such a big IP. Lord of the Rings, this is the crazy one. Lord of the Rings took 6 months to deliver $200 million in revenue. Final Fantasy took 1 day. Woo! What are we talking about? Do you understand what that means? Lord of the Rings, that was so high selling. 6 months to revenue, not even gross revenue. $200 million in 6 months. Final Fantasy did it in 1 day. Are you crazy? No, Magic's done. The main set storyline, we're done. Who cares about Magic lore? Forget the whole Tarkir thing we were talking about. Universes Beyond setting records. Secret Layers, direct to consumer singles sold by the company, setting records. Universes Beyond making more money than ever. Folks, at this point, what are the other IPs? Star Wars? They got a Star Wars IP. It doesn't matter. They're gonna pay for it. They see Final Fantasy did this. Star Wars can beat this. That is the only thing I can think of. If the Marvel IP does it, DC might be able to do it, but the Star Wars IP will do this. The Star Wars IP will make more money than this. It will make a crap ton of money because we want to have Anakin Skywalker fight against Sephiroth. We want this to happen. Vivi Ornitier versus Darth Vader in Standard. Just saying, it's gonna happen. Cox talks about how the increased production runs 4 times prior to release by many very double-digit percentages ahead of any other production run they've ever done, and they still couldn't produce enough. Oh my lord, the FOMO. In many ways, you could say that they designed the sets really well, and the whole design team should be applauded. Many people are also talking about on Twitter today about how the limited environment is very successful. A lot of people talked about how it's very flavorful, how it's very diverse, and I want to shout that out as well. The design of the set was very flavorful, very amazing. A lot of Final Fantasy fans love it. It got me to play some Final Fantasy, and I'm recognizing some of these references as well. I'm happy with that as well. But the amount of money it's making shouldn't be ignored. When asked why he thinks Final Fantasy was so popular, Cox thinks it's multiple factors, including IP appeal, as well as IP having a fan base that Magic appeals to. Cox says that how much they're looking for in a UB sets they have lined up for 2026. He doesn't want to take any further thunder away from Magic team, who typically announce the following year's lineup, but he says to expect them to be Final Fantasy-like in terms of overlap and size of community. It mentions how strong they believe in-universe sets are going to perform. Fair enough. You don't want to scare people. Universe strategy with the idea of new and total player expansion. And I think by every metric, as they said, they're already able to show that it has been very successful. Universes Beyond has been a growth strategy, and that is undeniably true. It has been putting more people in seats at LGSs, more people buying product, more people with Magic cards in their hand. 100%, that is undeniable. And that is the success that is worth pointing out. New players are coming in, playing more Magic on average. Even if they're buying and they're just collecting, that's different. But on average, because of that, there will be more players playing Magic, especially with Commander around, things being so accessible. Because you don't have like the modern Pioneer standard model of 60 card constructed, you can go up to someone and say, I'm building a Sephiroth deck, I'm building a Xenos deck, I'm building a Cloud deck, whatever it is. You can build a deck around your favorite character. They just need to take your favorite character and turn it into a legendary. That's it. That's the secret. That's the money-making model that Wizards of the Coast have been looking for years. Turn your favorite character into a legendary. Money, baby. That's the contract. That is the social contract they get you into. And goddamn, it works. As someone who's with it too, it works. Who asked about how well Final Fantasy is doing in Japanese market. Cox says that up to date it's the second biggest selling set in Japan behind only Modern Horizons 2. But they anticipate it will be better within days or weeks. Oh my God. Of course, the Horizon says the broken sets that break every single format, modern, legacy, vintage, commander, everything. Of course, that's going to be high selling. Of course, goes on to say it's not just age. Talking about, the demographic, still around 35 years old, and they're thinking about the demographic shift, maybe getting a Magic, and of course it's going to be 35 years old. Of course it is. I am 30 years old. I just turned 30 this year. Of course it's going to be adults that have a job that can actually afford Magic cards, because Magic is arguably becoming more expensive in terms of product, but in terms of accessibility, with the rise popularity in the community of something like proxies, with honestly a lot of formats actually on average having cheaper decks. You think about the price of Modern Jund beforehand, but now with something like some modern decks these days, it's actually honestly more accessible. It's just more money to invest into because more people are just playing Commander. So it's more expensive to just get into other formats that don't allow for proxies. It's arguably by perception, more expensive because you have a cheaper option. Before you didn't have the other option. You just got in this way. Now you have a cheaper option, so it feels more expensive. That's my take on it anyway. Not about age. Someone asked about the health of the player base they're measuring. Cox says about 40% increase in unique players, specifically people who participate in organized play. That's a subset of the total player base, which is nice. More people playing competitive Magic and everything. When talking about the total player base, Cox says they don't have a formal metric they care to share yet, but they're working on a very robust model for us to be able to track that. He says the biggest problem with that is most play is done offline, with only about 50% of the player base playing on Arena or in stores. Folks, Are we not supporting Arena anymore? Ain't nobody playing Brawl. Ain't nobody playing Timeless. We got Strip Mine and Timeless. Timeless is the only format where Strip Mine is going to allow you're going to be able to play 4 Strip Mines. Limited and restricted in Vintage, banned in Legacy. You can only play 1 in Commander. Timeless is going to be the only official format, only on Magic Arena, where you can play 4 Strip Mines. That format is cooked. Cooked. There's a wasteland, but 4 Strip Mines? When you can destroy basics and play Blood Moon? Oh, no, that's a good format. That's a done format. Who wants to play that? That is a done format. Someone asked about the split between new, lapsed, and existing customers. Cox says that they get to that detailed player base, they're probably going to have to go offline and generally see how they can, make that happen to get this data. And but every metric they're seeing points to more people playing Magic and more people who have never played Magic before than ever, and that's quite meaningful and that's fair. More sales, more money to be made. Universes Beyond super successful. Secret Layers super successful. Why would they change? Folks, the writing's on the wall. Magic's not what it used to be. Get with the model or get out. That's what it is. I can complain all I want, but I gotta join the model. I'm here for it. Because what else am I supposed to do? I've decided to make my money on this. I've decided that I want a hobby. I've decided that I want to engage with people, be social, build the village, participate in the village as a villager, playing Magic the Gathering. How many people can say they can leave this and then go join another hobby and do this all over again? The upkeep, the time, the resources, everything to upstart something new. Might as well go with something familiar. That's why you go back to your League of Legends every day. That's why you go back to your Overwatch every day. It does not matter. The games are doo-doo caca, but they're still fun, which is why I will also always go back to Overwatch and everything, even though no matter how much Marvel Rivals I play. The game you are familiar with requires the least amount of time to upkeep with. It is easier to ascertain in your brain when a new hero comes out in this game than it is to learn a whole new game that you perceive to be better. So we are going to be sticking with Magic. That is what the reality of the situation is. And when it comes to the reality, well, baby, let's suck on Hasbro's teats, baby. Spiderman, spoilers, already coming out. Again, pre-release, not even happened yet. Not even there. I signed up for pre-release. I got a friend who came from the US. He recently got into Magic over the past couple of months and everything, thanks to Final Fantasy. So we're going to be doing some pre-release together. I'm excited to pull some space-time anomaly and mill some people out. Fingers crossed, wish me luck. But forget that, because I got to focus on this first. Before I look at pre-release guides that Tolarian Community College just released, I got to look at Spider-Man spoilers. Okay, Peter Parker, right? Peter Parker picked a pickled pepper, whatever it is. Blue and white and one legendary creature, human scientist hero, hero returning, notably that there is relevancy in hero from Final Fantasy with the hero tokens and everything, right? Okay, all right, relevancy. When Peter Parker enters, create a 2/1 green spider token with reach. Why is it creating a spider? I know it's a scientist, but Peter doesn't create a spider. He doesn't create a spider. The spider escapes from the lab and bites him. He does not make a spider. Maybe in some parts of the lore, he makes a spider. I'm not a Spider-Man nerd. I'm a fan of Marvel and everything. Why would he make a spider? I don't understand. You transform it for Banton 1, transform Peter Parker, flip him around, Banton 1 for a 4/4 vigilance reach. Each legendary spell you cast that's one or more colors has web slinging Bant. Web slinging means you may cast a spell for its web slinging cost if you return a tapped creature you control to its owner's hand. Okay. If you also return a tapped creature you control to its owner's hand. So tap creatures, if you convoke something, like convoke a spell out, if you went for combat, you activated a mana ability or just an ability in general, if you return something, it's like weird ninjutsu. It's weird ninjutsu. It just doesn't require it to be unblocked. So I imagine some of these abilities, there will be activated abilities, tap abilities, but to balance it, I imagine there might be more untapped activated abilities, which is important to note because there might be infinite mana sinks here. They may not want everything tapping down because they want that to be more of a payoff. They might make more combat tricks involved. They might do less tap abilities. They might do some, but I imagine there might be some activated abilities that we could put mana sinks into if they don't put the once per turn restriction. Regardless, Vigilance Reach 4/4, not bad. Each legendary spell you control has that. Great commander, obviously. Just cheating out giant commanders is going to be great. Giant, 8+ converting mana cost spells, just bouncing a tapped creature, a token, whatever it is, a creature token. It's got to be a creature though, notably. Can't be a token of an enchantment or an artifact. Matters. Good. This is a comic book version of this. I think this is a hot mess, actually. The mana cost is super small here. I think it looks cool, but it's an absolute nightmare to read. Like, this is just a secret lair card. This looks like an absolute nightmare to parse. I kind of like it. Then you flip it around, you're like, I get it. It just looks like an absolute nightmare. Spider-Man Noir. Manache, legendary creature, Spider-Man, human hero, 4/4. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, put a 1/1 counter on it, then surveil X, where X is the number of counters on it. Cool. It's 5 mana for a 4/4. It's got menace. I'm not too excited for this one. This is an uncommon legendary. Cool shout out to Spider-Man Noir though. Solo hunting as a hero, 1/1 counter, do a little bit of surveilling. Okay, sure. Spider-Man 2099 though is kind of interesting. 2 mana for a 2/3, but a legendary creature, spider human hero, but you can't play it on your first, second, or third turn. So think of the templating from that old 2 mana Jace, the mono blue one that can like plot things. Double strike vigilance at the beginning of your end step. If you've played a land or cast a spell this turn from anywhere other than your hand. So if you've plotted something, I'm thinking of that Jace exactly. If you've played something from your graveyard, maybe like played a land from your graveyard through like Crucible of Worlds, or cast an exile spell with Warp, which is now in standard, or not yet, with Edge of Eternities. Spider-Man 2099 deals damage equal to its power to any target. Not bad. It's a really weird payoff. It's kind of a bad payoff. It's a cool legendary though. I will say it only triggers on end step, but we do have that Final Fantasy legendary that we just got. I think it's Y'shtola that triggers end steps again. So we get double end steps. So just think about that. You get an end step trigger that you can potentially double up with a legendary like that. Probably greater than 99. Spider-Ham, Peter Porker, green and 1. It says a legendary creature, Spider Boar hero. When Spider-Ham enters, create a food token. Animal Mayhem. Other spiders, boars, bats, bears, birds, cats, dogs, frogs, jackals, lizards, mice, otters, rabbits, raccoons, rats, squirrels, turtles, and wolves, greens, beans, tomatoes, potatoes, all that good stuff. +1/+1, 2/2. It's a massive lord effect. Massive lord effect. Pretty cool, right? Obviously, this is going to be going alongside your, shapeshifter typal decks and everything. You create a food token when it comes down. Pretty solid 2 mana 2/2. Honestly, there's a world where it can jam. It's a bear. It's a bear with upside. A legendary bear creates a food. Not bad. We got to see what other types of these there are. Maybe there are shapeshifters that are going to enter the set to be able to get all these abilities. I think everyone in standard is a little triggered by mice at the moment, but oh well. People are talking about this from a templating perspective. I actually saved a tweet on this, but SP Doctor piloted by Penny, blue, white, and 3 for a 4/4 vigilance. When this creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. When a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Great. I wish I could put this in my Mothman deck. Unfortunately, not the colors for it. Regardless, though, drawing cards off of kind of modified creatures, specifically it's combat damage, so you're not going to be able to ping things out with like a walking ballista. That might be a little too powerful. That'd be really crazy as a combo. A lot of people talking about this from coding and templating perspective. The fact that it uses 2 forward slashes, the digital space of Magic organization might have some trouble with the templating of forward slashes. Someone brought it up. I think it was like Magic Archive on Twitter and something. I'm like, damn. I imagine like, you know, the Goldfishes of the world and everything, the Scryfalls of the world. This is going to be a pretty annoying card to catalog. Origin of Spider-Man, white and 1 for a Saga, which is nice. Sagas are always nice. Create a 2/1 green spider creature. Why are we making spiders? How does Spider-Man make a spider? Is he saying he's a spider? That doesn't make sense. That's a separate token. We have Peter Parker making a I don't know. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. It becomes a legendary spider hero in addition to its other types. Target creature you control gains double strike until the end of turn. Not the most exciting Saga, but it's one that works with itself inherently. It can just power up its own creatures, give it double strike, go in for an attack. And it's 2 mana, so it's not bad. It's a token generator. It can buff something up. There's a space for it. There's a world where this is fine. I just kind of hate that it makes a spider. I don't get how that makes sense. I hope someone in the comment section can help me make sense of that. Regardless, those are all the Spider-Man spoilers that we know of. These are from the old kind of special box that we're going to get. These are the ones that we currently have as of recording of this video. I imagine over the weekend, we're going to get more. I believe that was like kind of talked about, but regardless, this is where we're at. Universes Beyond, super successful. I'm going to link this MTG Scribe link here. Spider-Man spoilers before pre-release even comes out. How cooked are we? Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you generally excited? Are you scared? Are you worried? Are you just placated? You're like, whatever. I get Spider-Man cards. I'm excited. I can't lie. I'm both. I'm excited we're getting Spider-Man cards. I'm excited I'm playing Final Fantasy to learn this. I'm playing 6, 7, and 10 in that order to get with the Final Fantasy set and get more excited for it. These games are cool and I want to play them. So there is good things that come out of it. But it only means everything you're mad about around Universes Beyond, around the secret layers, around the set design, around the set cadence, all of it is just going to continue. It continues to make Big Daddy Hasbro money. It feeds Chris Cox and pays for all of his kids' private schools. Folks, Magic the Gathering is just going to stay the course and be exactly what it is right now. And I don't know, better or worse, whatever you think it is what it is.